2 Ribenas. Hello. We literally just got in the door like
literally now.
2 minutes ago. What am I saying? Buonasera e tutti.
Buonasera.
Buonasera e tutti.
A tutti.
E tutti. Hello everybody. It's episode 171, which is quite poignant really, because that's also it's E171, so it's titanium dioxide night. I'm gonna just get my favourite drink, Ribena, because I've been missing it. There a minute. We literally got in the door like 2 minutes ago. How is everybody? It's Chocy Chat. It's episode 171. We had the very, very lovely Kerry Beale from the inventor of Easy Temper and Silk last week, which was that was a fascinating chat actually. I think what an absolutely lovely lady, and we got beeps from the ceiling. Take a couple of days off and it's all. How is everybody? Rome was incredible. Busy. We had meetings. We had places to see, people to visit, conversations to have, all that kind of thing. But it is all good. Forest Road Chocolates. Hello. Who's there? Billy, I can see you. How are you, mate? We literally got back 2 minutes ago. We left at 12, so it's not bad, is it? Kind of eight and a bit hours door to door, right? So Rome is truly amazing. Rome's beautiful. Really, very, very light on chocolate. There was a chocolate shop we went to, but it was closed. And there wasn't. You're gonna have to put up with that beep until I change your battery, I think. Bit light on chocolate. Very heavy on pizza and gelato, though. Not complaining. We had gelato for breakfast this morning, oddly enough. But we walked the girls so far, I think they burnt off any sugars and everything that was with it. So, absolutely. Mo the Baker, how are you? Mind your temper? I am really good, thank you. Who else have we got? Ellen, I can see you. Ellen, you answered some amazing stuff on the Chocy Chat this week. Absolutely, really, really amazing answers to stuff. So, Leanne, I can see. Thanks so Sassy Crew for rushing home for Chocy Chat. We made it. Actually, when we booked, it was very short notice to go. Actually, we needed to have a meeting, and it was kind of get on a plane and go and see people. And I'll leave it there. I'm not going to go into too much detail of why and who and what. It's like, do we go Monday and come back Thursday, or do we go Tuesday and come back Friday and get back in time for Chocy Chat? And then when we get to get the flight, it's like, it's delayed an hour. Maybe can't miss Chocy Chat. Just can't do it. Alice, how are you? Lots of people here. Nettie, I am really good, thank you. Welcome back. Hello to everybody, Leanne is saying. Evelyn there in Jersey. Loney, I can see in Denmark. Made chocolates in Switzerland. Karen, I am really well. Coco Lily in Florida. Abdullah, wa alaikum salam. The guys that I did the classes with in Bahrain. Proper pizza. Do you know what's really strange? I don't want to make this all about Rome visit, but food's really reasonably priced. I'm quite surprised. I thought it was going to be like rip-off central. And I think that the quality of pizzas, it's another thing altogether, and it's how quickly. But everybody's got these massive brick ovens, and it's kind of all fairly priced across the whole city. I think what I liked more than anything is, for anybody that has been to Rome, getting around's really easy. Every street you go down, whether you look left or right, there is just history. And it's really fascinating. Like you get to a point where you just do not know where to look, right? So, and we did the Colosseum, we did Vatican, we did absolutely amazing places. The girls are just in awe, staring at things. So, and I tried my best at Italian in my own special way. So, purely complimentary. Hello, Apples, Chocolatier. How are you? I'm good, thank you. Former Chocolates. You finally get to see one of these live. I haven't got any guests tonight. The guests tonight are Chocy Chat crew. I think everybody is gearing up for Easter things, aren't they? Easter things or Eid things, one of the two. Susie Floozy, how is Rome? Stunning. It's lovely to get away, right? It's lovely to go and do these things. I've travelled the world. I was talking to Ronnie about this on the flight. I've been around the world, but I've not. Italy is always. I've always flown over it, and I've landed and had a transfer, but I've never ever. I crossed the border from Switzerland to Italy in the 90s with a friend, Went to a nightclub and then left. I can tell you about that story. It's pretty grim. Never been to Italy, and gone all the way around Europe, but Italy's just one of those countries that I've never ever stopped in. So I'm so glad that I did this time, and also that Rania she lived there and studied there, so she speaks the language fluently. Although she said she's a little bit rusty, but we were all quite in awe of watching her just go straight into it. So that was a bonus that somebody can speak the language. So. Love Italy, loved there for 4 months when it was Lira country. Yeah, it is very, very nice. Very safe, a lot of police. Felt very, very safe. We were wandering around at night, and it's just so leisurely, right? Just so leisurely. Nobody seems to be in a hurry, right? Leverko, Laura's packing up chocolates while listening to Chocy Chat. Happy days, it's that Friday night thing, isn't it? So. Home Chocolate Factory, hello. The history is incredible, almost embarrassing. I don't know. There's some, I've been to a lot of places in the world where incredible history. If anybody goes around Amman or any areas of the Middle East, yeah, you see incredible history. Or you go to Turkey, even Paris. But there is something very alluring about Rome in that the size of the structures is just gigantic. You go to the Colosseum, you're like, wow. It's absolutely gigantic, right? Happy days. Hello. Mrs. So Sassy's joined. She'll be emptying bags, yeah. Am I at the Strawberry Red event in April? Yeah, Michelle, I'm going to answer you that one. No, I'm not. Sadly, we're booked and we're away, and I'm on a teaching trip that, and there were 2 days, and it just so happened that we were away for both of them. So, I think no, unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss out on that one. I'm pre-booked to do something else over those dates, right? Which I can't change, unfortunately. So, pretty fancy chocolates. Yeah, Mo, I know what you mean. It's just the volume of it. I love London. I love the history of London, but it's not as visible, right? You have to go and search for the history, I think, in London. With Rome, it's like every corner you turn, it's just, this giant historical sites right in your face, right? Chocolate creams, how are you? I don't think. Evelyn was saying you parked in a camper van in front of the Colosseum. Yeah, you can't really get. Went to the Trevi Fountain this morning. That's all turned off. Couldn't go to a lot of things. Very light on chocolate. I was expecting to find a few more chocolate shops, but nothing at all. The one that we went kind of nearby was closed, and I don't know what that deal was. So, Apple's chocolate. Whilst we're on here, does anybody have an AW meter, and are they worth it? Yes, they are worth it. If you want to. I think if you're selling into retail, AW meters aren't the be-all and end-all, right? So water activity will give you, you'll get that reading and it will give you a suggested shelf life. Now, depending on what format you read of the suggested AW, is quite broad. So, for example, 0.75 will give you, 4 to 8 weeks. Well, I think it's 6 to 12 weeks, right? And it's, what is it? Is it nearer to 6 or is it nearer to 12? So it'll give you a suggested shelf life. I think AW meters are worth having when you start doing volume and you want to formulate recipes where you want to guarantee for the retailer that they're trusted recipes and that it's got a format and it's, we know exactly what's happening with that recipe. However, what I would say is the shelf life is just not the AW reading. That's not the be all and end all. Like you can have a recipe with a really good AW reading. But if the shell integrity, cap integrity, quality of the ingredients, cleanliness of the tools and stuff that you're working with, that all adds to it as well. And then also you can get AW won't suggest if you get not so much mold growing but mildew growing and other things happening. So there's so many other bits and pieces that go into it, right? And AW is kind of one part of it. Are they worth having? Yes, they are. They are expensive, and I think the very, very good ones that are very, very accurate also need recalibrating, and that's not cheap either. There are the small handheld ones, but I've kind of had mixed reviews on it because we put one into a recipe and it gave us one reading, and then a lab tested one gave us a completely different reading. So they are worth investing in if you're going to start doing big volumes, because your retailer might want to ask for some evidence of that shelf life integrity. It's very easy to say it will last 6 months. Prove it, right? And that's what due diligence is. Due diligence is I did everything I was supposed to. Here's the evidence to back it up, right? Linda, I'm chocolate. I'm good. I'm getting leaks from some of my bonbon seals, a tiny clear bubble. What's happening? Could be a few things. Caramel does that. Caramel does that. You get little blister, look like little blisters come out of caramel. Usually the chocolate's a little bit too warm. This is a challenge of using 33-degree chocolate for capping. Those blisters can form if it's just not cooling down quick enough, because if you put, especially with the 3-drop, right? If you tip 3-drop as caps, if that chocolate's heavier than the filling, what it does is push the filling back up, okay? And then if you think about where you scrape, you get that perfect layer. If you looked underneath the cap, it's kind of corrugated, right? And it's too many holes in there and too much pressure, and it just pushes some of the filling out, and that's what that. If you're getting leaks from the edges, that's the filling is too liquid, right? If you're getting little blisters on the, best way to show you, if you're getting little blisters on that cap that are coming up, that's going to be like what I just suggested. If you're getting leaks from around these caps here, very often I think you'd have to go back and have a look at the night that I did the shelling, right? And we're looking for this shell edge, and we're looking to underfill them. I find so many problems stem from overfilling, and there's no way to recover from overfilling. If you overfill bonbons because everybody's trying to aim to get a 1 mil cap, which is not possible. Maybe for Gandia, maybe for pralines, you can get a 1 mil cap. But they tend to be quite solid fillings. If the fillings are slightly liquidy when it's caramels or ganaches, if that noisy fridge is that going off, it's this bullseye, right? If you've got rounded beveled edges and you try and cap with that, it doesn't seal to the side of it and causes you other problems. So you're kind of looking for that really, really sharp edge. When that edge is really, really sharp, the chocolate layer will weld across to it. Not a fan of heating the mold either. I don't. It has its uses, but I don't think it's, there are reasons to do it. If it's come out of very, very cold storage at kind of 10, 12 degrees, yeah, by all means give it a warm up, because if we pour chocolate on, it would just seize and we wouldn't be able to carry it very easily. If they're at room temperature and your room's at 20 degrees, 18, 19, 20 degrees, I don't see any reason to warm those caps up. I think it causes you more problems than it solves, right? I think the other thing is it's warm. What temperature is warm? Warm isn't the temperature, is it? Warm is a guess, and we don't do guessing. We shouldn't be doing guessing. So if we are warming that mould, do we do every single one the same? Is every single one the same temperature? And this is where you just got to be a bit more accurate with what you're doing, I think so. We're all ass. How are you? Oh, the clocks went forward in the US. Okay. Wouldn't it be lovely if the whole world just was united in when the clocks go forward? It must be absolute hell to pay for people that run airlines, right? Or try and schedule classes. I know I've got that coming up, so. You need to develop recipes got a shelf life of 3 months, so you want 12 weeks plus. Why do they need to be 3 months plus? I think that's the question, right? Why? Because caramels will do that easily, right? Ganduyas will do that easily. Pralines will do that very, very easily. 4 times that. 3 months. So if it's ganaches, and as you know, I've said this many times. If we want the shelf life of ganache, we have to put more sugars in, and when we put more sugars in, the flavours drop down, and I think then it's at that point, you know, why does it need to last that long? Or you'd freeze them, right? So, temper. It's always on the edge. I like if you send me a picture. If you send me a picture of what that edge looks like, we can fix that. It's to do with this beveled edge, and what happens is. Now you talk about this because I have so many students and I talk to so many business. I talk to so many chocolatiers that all seem to have the same issue. Once we've filled and we've tapped it out and we scrape, they tend to leave it like that. Okay. And what you need to do is once you've tapped out that rest and given it a scrape that way, is just to turn it over briefly, scrape that surface area, and for a brief moment that chocolate falls back in and it creates a very, very sharp edge. Okay. Then you can put it upside down and leave it to go dull, and then turn it on its side and leave it to retract or shrink or whatever it is the word that you want to do. If you fill it with chocolate and you turn it upside down and you tap it, you can get these what just looks like curled, beveled edges, right? And it's not easy for the chocolate to join that side. So it doesn't. The warmth of the capping chocolate isn't enough to melt that thicker edge. Whereas when you've got a very thin, sharp cap, you've got this layer going down, right? And the chocolate sits along it and it will weld all the way across, right? Also, I think, you know, if you've got a very, very fluid filling, just underfill them, right? You should always underfill caramels because caramels dome, right? And if you fill them and you look across the top and you can see some peeking through, when you cap, you're going to just spread it the whole length of that. And you can double cap, but not easily. And when it's caramels, what will happen is it will just get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And if that one is the culprit, when you scrape that way, you'll lose the whole row, which we don't want to do. We don't want to do things like that. Caramel ganache. Temper. It's the edge. It's the edge. Did I miss a question? Chocolate Spicy, I am good, thank you. Lisa Sargent, I can see you did a lovely post of stuff this week. I have been looking at chocolate this week. So Sassy saying, good evening, Chocy Chat crew. Yeah, we made it. I've been getting some release marks with my Easter eggs, not many, but wondering if there's something I can do to improve it. Talked about this before. It's the chocolate temperature, it's the mould's temperature actually. If your mould is too cold, what I want you to imagine, and I haven't got an Easter egg mould nearby, have I? Have I? I do, but it's got mould in it. When you pour that chocolate, what can I use as an example? Here. Let's imagine that's the surface, right? If that surface of the mould is too cold, okay, when we pour the chocolate down it, what happens is, to your eyes, it looks like it's running smoothly, but it's not. It's stuttering, right? And it's stuttering. So, and it's struggling to move across because the temperature of this is too cold. Not suggesting that you warm your moulds up, but you can warm your moulds. But here's the thing: if I warm that mould up, by the time I start pouring, it's cooling down again because it's going to be the temperature of the room. You can warm the moulds all you want, but it will still be the temperature of the room within a split second, right? Because that heat will completely dissipate because we've got a warm surface area. We've got a big surface area. So it's more. You've got an option. You can take the mould a little bit warmer, or you can take the chocolate a little bit warmer, so it's much more fluid, so that it's running smoothly. I think that one of these days I'd like to video upwards and watch the chocolate running down, and I'll be able to show you all those little lines. Release marks also can be like the cooling. So with Easter eggs, we've got a wider surface area. It would help to just have some cold air blowing on it, right? The other challenge I come across, we were talking about the Easter eggs and how we get the flat edges on them, right? Or how we get those flat edges on them so that you can seal two together. If you shell a mould and then you leave it flat on a surface, that air can't get out, so the warm air can't get out, and the warm air is only going to go upwards, and it will affect that area. so that when you go to cool it down, you will get those retraction marks, or what I'll call retraction marks. It's just where it's shrinking. That chocolate's shrinking at different places. I don't know if you should be that analytical of release marks, right? I mean, it's great to show a video that's like super shiny, super glossy, but you will find release marks, and do your customers notice it? Do you want to get that in depth? Do you want to get that picky? If it's a couple of marks, it's a handmade product, right? It's no bonbon, please. Who's going to knock on the door and say, show me your release marks, right? And if they do, just send them my way and I'll have a chat with them. Needed for cruise ships. I'd absolutely get it. If you do, I just wouldn't fiddle with the ganache side of it. I would absolutely go down the route of doing nut fillings or doing caramel fillings, so they're quite firm. I would go down the route of ganache. I wouldn't. Are they going to freeze them? They can store them. I know cruise ships will open a fridge that's at 3 degrees and throw everything in there, and then you're going to have little cat bells that it will all shrink. So hello in New York. I'm good, thank you. James, can ganaches be made the day ahead and reheated, piped the next day? Looking at potential big volumes for one of my... Yeah, absolutely. You think about huge... do you like this? I'm going to give Chris Harvey a push here with what he's doing. Imagine you're making 100,000 pieces. You're not going and you say, right, well, I'll do one batch. No, let's make the numbers a bit easier. Imagine you're doing 10,000 bonbons. You're not going to make as like 1,000 times 10 fillings. You will make the whole amount. You can't keep it warm because it would split, so you'll let it set. So you warm it back up again and re-emulsify it, put it into a pipe bag, get it back to its new start point, and then pipe again. Nothing wrong with doing it at all. If you think about the bigger people that do the volumes, they are having to rewarm stuff, because by the time they've got through the first 200 moulds, that filling's already started to crystallise, so they're going to have to pop the heat up a bit. So whether that is microwave, whether that is heat guns, whether that is a copper jacket or a kettle jacket that warms it up, is significant. We use the Thermomix exactly for that. So we've got ganache in bigger volumes. We won't necessarily make the ganache in there, but what I can do is set it to 45 and then re-emulsify it and then pour it out, put it into the bags, lay it flat, get it cold and repipe when it reaches 28, 29. So absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Just make sure what you're rewarming it in, cleanliness, hygiene, all those kind of things, right? So thanks for the videos on the eggs, made a huge difference. The video on the egg, oh, is that the subscription? There's a lot of people like the subscription. We did here. We showed everybody how, on the subscriber thing, we showed everybody how to double. That's a really thick shell, but it doesn't look like it at all. Whereas that, oh, that's a really thick shell, but it's been double shelled because it's shelled in dark and then shelled in. And I was trying to show everybody how to get that super, super smooth inside. The edges are not great if you want to weld two together, all right? And you can see how much they've retracted, look, because chocolate's always moving. When I get the other half to that, you'll see chocolate is always moving. So the bottom two are, look at the gap on that. So they're not ideal. When you do the edges like that, they're ideal for filling in something and laying on a plinth so it's upright. If we did want to weld them together, we'd be laying them flat, so that we get a foot on there so we can weld the two together. I do get a lot of questions. It's like, how do you join them together neatly? There's not an easy way. If you think of a lot, you want to slightly melt one half and put the other one in, and you are going to get a seam. But if you have a think about all the Easter eggs that are on display that are double-sided, okay, so two sides, you'll find that there is a ribbon or something that goes around that, right? Yeah, because that's called camouflage and concealment. And the ones that you get, they put on tumbling arms, right? So great big revolvers, and the chocolate's put in to both sides, and then they're sandwiched together, put on the machine, and they rotate, right? they have very, very close seams, but then they're generally not filled, right? So they're different things. But trying to get a really good seal without a big, it's a challenge for everybody, very accurately. And you can see, I don't know how old those are, they're a couple of weeks old now, still shiny, but they do not fit together. There is a gap there. And if I put them at the top there, fit, you'll find there's a gap at the bottom. So, chocolate's always moving. Chocolate is always retracting, shrinking. Humidity is what makes it expand, and then cold makes it shrink, but it's always moving. Chocolate's always moving. I saw a post recently saying, make the shells and you can store them in the mould. Technically, yes, but I guarantee that when you come to cap them, if those have shrunk too much, you're going to end up with chocolate capping all down this edge. You can normally spot those, right? Because I look at those, it's like, I think I know what you've done there. Not judging at all. Nadia's Chocolates, how are you? Nadia posts some lovely stuff this week, really nice, everybody. Same as Jason. Jason's posting some, everybody's posting incredible stuff. I'm still having my airbrush woes. Leanne, yeah, we need to try and schedule that. I've been in and out, and time is running out for me most days. So we've only been away 3 days, and I think I'm going to be starting work tomorrow morning. It will be before 6 a.m. I'm pretty sure it's going to be. I think we're going to have a couple of 20-hour days back to back here. So. Leanne, we'll get onto that. Something not right with that brush at all. So, when's the next class? Which one? We're always doing classes. There's always classes going on. We are waiting to move websites, so there's some new stuff coming. We decided to take an impromptu trip, so I'm hoping we'll be able to announce early next week what's happening with the website and the new site and how you can order and all the other information that's on that. So homemade chocolates here, second time. I can't get them to pop out the mould. Should I wipe the moulds beforehand with anything non-stick? No, not at all. Chocolate comes out of the mould because of that it's tempered, right? I know lots of people already know this, but if we take that one, which fits in there, doesn't fit. Ha! See what I mean with retraction and chocolate moving? This is the same mould it came in. That will pour into there. Okay. If it sticks, the only reason it will stick in the mould is there weren't beta crystals in the chocolate to make it shrink. And when it shrinks, it will pull away from that surface and it will come out. Okay. If you've got a mould that you're constantly banging and it doesn't look like it's shrunk away, it will be a tempering issue. There is nothing you can wipe in there. It doesn't matter how much you polish. It doesn't matter how much you scrub, polish, what you do to the inside of that mould. If you've got beta crystals in there, in the chocolate, and the only reason we'll have beta crystals is because we tempered the chocolate, and the only thing that we're tempering in the chocolate is the cocoa butter. The cocoa butter, when it cools down, will form a particular type of crystal, and then when it cools, it will shrink. Chefs call it retraction, but Chocy Chat will call it shrink. We'll call it for what it is. It will shrink, and it will shrink to the point where those don't fit back in the mould. Look, if I push those in, they will crack. I guarantee it. But it doesn't quite fit. It's shrinkage. It will be a temporary problem you've got there. I think it'll be temporary. So. Took the brush apart, found a clog in the middle, cleared it with the heat gun. The needle is now retracting. Any other suggestions what I can do? I'm going to go test again. When you pull the trigger, let me get a brush. Let me get a brush, and I'm going to take the air cap off the front. Let's hope this isn't all clogged up with butter. I think I might have to warm this one up because it's got cocoa butter in it. Here we go. When you pull the trigger back, I want to see this needle move, right? Yeah. And if it's not, we would open up the back. undo that. Could be just be the spring, but what we're looking for is for that to go back, right? But it's not, because it's got cocoa butter in there, so it's not going to move. When you push the trigger down, you want to see that. When this is warmed up, that would work, and I don't have any that are warm at the minute. When we press the trigger down, I would want to be able to see that needle come backwards. Smashed all my fingers up on our luggage bag. So you want to be able to see that come backwards. If it doesn't come backwards, you're going to need to undo that thumb screw at the back, reseat the needle, tighten that one up, and that when you push the trigger, not down, but when you push the trigger back, you should see that needle move. If the needle's moving and there's no cocoa butter coming out, I don't know, because the only thing holding the cocoa butter back is the needle. And once you pull the needle out, on most of these, if we pull the needle back and we tilt it down, cocoa butter should just like drop out. You know, if we tap it, cocoa butter should just drop out. So if that's not happening, there could be an issue with the wrong. We've got that air cap on the front, and then the next one. The next one is the housing. It's got this like little bullet in the front of it. It could be that that's just the wrong size, right? It could be something as simple as that. Not a lot to go wrong with these, do you know? If you press down for air and air is coming out, when you pull back the trigger and there's no cocoa butter coming out, it will be something to do with the needle. And if the air is at full max, then you know there's not a lot to go wrong with it, right? It just could be the wrong needle housing, the wrong needle holder, or it could just be the wrong size needle. Got to ring the changes there again. Just one question: can we use regular Nutella and added chocolate as a filling? If yes, what's the chocolate percentage? I think you can. I don't know if you can pipe Nutella straight in. I think you can, right? Because it's a long shelf life product, so I can't see why you can. And it's quite solid. So I think if you were to add more chocolate to Nutella, I think you'd end up with a very, very solid filling. Very solid filling. I'm going to put those away before I break them. Seren made that. See the shine. See the shine still. I think if you added chocolate to Nutella, I think it'd just be a bit too firm, right? I think that's my my opinion on that. However, there's no reason, you know, it's not cheating. You can put into your bonbons, whatever you want. It's your work. You can use whatever you want. I don't have a major issue. There's chefs that say you have to make everything fresh. Okay, we didn't make the cream or the sugar. You didn't make the chocolate. You didn't make the mold. It's like, where do you draw that line? Make the things that you want to make the things that make you happy, and if you really enjoy doing it, you don't have to explain it to anyone, and I think they are the rules to live by in life. I think you could pipe Nutella in. I couldn't tell you what shelf life, but Nutella is essentially like a ganduja, right? So it's a nut paste with chocolate in it. There's other bits of sugars and different fats in there, but it's very, very soft anyway, so there's no reason why you could just pipe that in. If you want to make something very quick that people will like, that's the route you go, right? There is nothing wrong with buying fillings. It's lovely to make your own stuff. It's lovely to make your own stuff. It's nice to cheat as well. It's nice to get stuff done, because like, who's the audience and who's eating them and who's buying them, and if they're happy and they love it, do your own thing. Granny is burning oud, and it smells really, really nice. It smells really, really. It's going to get really smoky in here in a minute. If you don't know what oud is the wood, is the Arabic wood that they make the perfumes and things from. We bought the wood. Granny's burnt. It smells so. I can't even begin to tell you how nice that smells. I sent my chocolatier friend a video of my Easter collection and said ignore the mistakes, and she said that she loves blemishes because it proves the handmade side of it. Nice difference. Yeah. Do you know what? We'll get a little bit ingressed into what we make, and I don't know if I from my own chocolate work. I don't know if I'm madly in love with my own chocolate work, because I see the imperfections. But that smells so nice, Rania. But when I see the joy when people get them or receive them, it just kind of wipes that all out. And it's like this thing with capping. It's you know, you can chase perfection all you want, but at the end of that, there should be excellence, right? I just don't think perfection is what you're looking for. The pursuit of progress will lead to excellence. And go back and look at something you made a year ago, and you're like, oh my god, what was I thinking? Go back and look at something from 5 years ago, and you're like, oh no, what was I thinking? That was the trend, that was the style, that's what we did then. And if you're doing something very different now, in 5 years' time, you'll look back at what we're doing now and go, oh, what was I thinking, right? So make the things that you want to do. And if they've got, but nobody, I've never given chocolate to anybody and they've gone, yeah, nice capping, James. Only chocolatiers. You can judge all you want. You can judge all you want, but you know, I'm running a very successful business. You know, and we sell it. Every time we do a collection, lots and lots of chocolatiers buy our product. I'll stand by it. I stand by it. I stand by what I like, what I make, and I make what I make, and I enjoy doing what I do. I think that handmade products will have blemishes and indifferences, and I can't paint that design flawlessly on every single one because it's art, right? It's edible art. It's brushstrokes, it's so many things, and that's the beauty of what we do, right? You can look at all your chocolates when you turn them all out, and you could pick the best ones, that's fine. But the reality is that all of the ones that you turn out need to go into a box, don't they? Because they need to be sold, because that's why you made them. So do your own thing. I love that. It's not a different perspective, it's honesty, right? Do you know what very often clogs airbrushes? Q-tips, where people get Q-tips and they stuff them down there and it gets wrapped around the needle, and then as cocoa butter gets attached to it, you just get this huge lump, and it's very difficult. Once it makes its way into the little reservoir down there, it's very difficult to get out. You don't just spray out the excess. Try not to put cotton buds down there. It's just, it gets all clammed up, right? I don't even know what time it is. I've got. Can you remind me how to use the easy temp for cocoa butter? Yeah. I will get. These are all good to go. I haven't touched these for a week. You need to work out what your temperatures are going to be. These have been in there for 3 days, so you can see the pellets that we get for our own cocoa butter. That will stir in. There's a little bit of liquid, tiny little bit of liquid. I'm not worried about that at all. That one will blend in. First 12 hours, don't touch it. First 24 hours, don't touch it if you can. Just let it soften, and then you can blend it, and you should end up with that one is absolutely 100% ready to go now. Right. I wipe that on the table. That will set like concrete in 15, 20 seconds, probably less than that, right? But you know what you do is you get these cans with it. We've got other things that we like in the workshop. We've got much bigger cans that they go into, because we put 2.5 kilos in each one, and we can use upwards of like 15 kilos of silk a day, depending on what we're making. They come in their little cans. I fill them, leave them 24 hours, top them up again. And I set it, this one's at 32.4 for my butter. Different butters, different temperatures, as we were talking about last week. Turn the machine on, fill the cans, leave it 24 hours. I'd set it at 33.2, 33.4 to start with, and then have a look at that after 24 hours. If it's too liquid, just make sure the blue light's on, right? The blue light's on, there's no fan. But as anybody tuned in last week, there's a new easy temper on the way. I don't know when, but it's likely to happen. So, and then in terms of the use of that, we will melt I melt the chocolate to 33. I'll melt the chocolate when it reaches 33. We'll put 1% of silk in there. Give it a really good stir. For bigger volumes, we'll use a bar mix, just briefly. If you use the bar mix for too long, the friction will take the heat up. So we'll get chocolate at 33 degrees. We'll add 1% of silk, stir it in, give it a minute. It's ready to go, ready to pour. It truly is fire and forget. when I say easy temper, it can be better named, right? Easy temper. So if you paint the mold with chocolate and 10-15% cocoa butter first, then shell, you'll get a better gloss, less notable release marks. Be sure the colour paint much. You can you still get release marks sometimes from spraying cocoa butter, because it will be how that cocoa butter or chocolate shrinks, right? I think the trick is not to have a cold mold. The colder your mold, or the cooler your mold is, the less fluid that chocolate's flowing, and that's where you get all these little kind of marks, right? Yeah, that is my just come out. I only just changed that recently, but yeah, change it again. There's always stuff beeping. If it's not easy temper, it's melting tanks, or we have these alginate plates that we put we purify all these bits and pieces, and those are always ringing at me. So there's always something. I was having big problems with my bonbons not coming out the mould, then released my fillings. I realised your fillings are too... warm fillings always do a lot of damage. It's the only time that I'd really use a laser, right? I'd use... apologies for that. I don't know why it's beeping. I'll get on with that in a minute. I literally came through the door, turned this on, got a Ribena, and then we're in a Chocy Chat, right? God, life of a traveller. The only time I really use a laser is the fillings, but I think you get to know you can always use a thermopen and then just put that onto the flip them over. I'm not a big fan of tying knots into piping bags. Big no for me, because what happens is if you tie that knot and you got this like bulbous bag of piping. If you put it on a cold surface, that bottom layer is starting to get too cold. But you could have this core that's too warm, and actually what happens is when you start piping, it will when you start piping, you get all these kind of lumps come through, or it could be too warm in the middle, not warm on the outside, or there's so many issues. And all I do is put a bulldog clip on the end of that piping nozzle to refill it again, right? So not a big fan of tying up those, and I do see chocolatiers that have lots of them all over a table, and it's kind of like, how do you know which one to use first? And now are we filling, if you fill bonbons with a filling that's too warm, it's equally as bad if you fill them with a filling that's too cold because they're too domed. And now you've got to go through and start pushing them all down, and that's another. I mean, you can put, like if you overfill them and they're a little bit spiky, they've got too many, put a piece of cling film over it and just go through and push them down, and then chill that, and then the cling film will come off. But you can do that with ganache, can't do that with caramel. You just end up pulling all the shells out. Don't want to do that. If you do that, send me a video, because we're always looking for good content. I don't mean that at all. Everybody's like, no, why would you? True story. I've seen somebody do that. They were taught on a course to put cling film on it, and then they pulled it all off really quickly, and the cling film had all the shells and everything literally just dropped on the floor. And I stood there going, quite sure you meant to do that. I'm not sure that is wholeheartedly what you expected. It's that look of horror while they turn white and go, wow, it's like 3-4 hours worth of work just gone. It happens. How do you use the control on the back of the airbrush? You said you don't have it in a way. No, I don't. Yeah, so that's a limiter, but I don't use that for 0.5. I don't have that. So all the brushes at 0.5, I don't have that limiter. That just stops the needle going back and forth. Nothing major to that. White, no, white. I always spray with 0.8. Always. So, just got a new gun this week. My very first use. Could not get the cocoa butter out. Ended up cleaning it. Pulled a tiny piece of tissue paper out the needle hole left over from the factory. Wow, shocker, Melissa. Yeah, you gotta love that, haven't you? I got an airbrush. I got sent an airbrush to have a look at, and it's absolutely covered in, I can only describe as mineral oil. And trying to clean it, I've given up, because there's so much mineral oil on it that if I put cocoa butter in there, I just know I'm going to have a mould that isn't going to work. And it's like, why would a factory... I mean, it's dripping. It's just, they're like, have a look at this, chef. Tell us what you think. My first point is... Some good answers about the Nutella there. Some good answers here. God, I love Chocy Chat. You guys are the best. There's some really good. I hope whoever asked that question about the Nutella is reading these because they're really good. You always miss the live shows because of service. Sorry. I love the Nadia's saying I love the nuances of handmade products. Absolutely, right. I've worked in restaurants where we try to do the same thing every single night, like from an aesthetic point of view, but it's just impossible. Every carrot's different, every potato's different, every cut of meat is different, every fish is different. We try our best, so. I have a problem with the colour in the mould. The mould stays stuck. The colour stays stuck in the mould. So that could be chocolate temperature. It could also be tempering the colour. You need to, if you warm cocoa butter, the colours. You get one of these. If you get our colours and you warm them above 33.8, you will need to cool them down. If you have a look at the video I did with Seren recently. Seren did a full description of how to temper cocoa butter. There'll be a new one on the website, a new video. Not sure whether Seren's going to be in that video or not yet. It's a great debate. If you don't temper this, it won't form a hard shell. Because cocoa butter will form a hard shell. So if we don't temper it, make sure we've got beta crystals. When we paint it, what I'd expect it to do is come out. You can see how shiny that one is. That's a few weeks old now. If we warm the cocoa butter above 33.8, we will take it out of temper, which means there are no beta crystals left. And they're not this mythical thing, it's just the structure that we expect the crystals to form when they cool down. If they form the right structure when they cool down, they will shrink. So when we add chocolate to the back of it, both will move across together. If the cocoa butter's left in there, there's one or two things. Either there wasn't enough warmth in the chocolate to melt that layer, possible, but that tends to be little flaky bits, right? And there'll be little patches left over inside the mould, right? There'll be little patches left over. If the cocoa butter was well tempered, the chocolate isn't tempered, ain't nothing coming out the mould at all. And also, if your chocolate temperature is too cold, I refer back to the guide that's on the bags, the little graph that's on the bags, the most useless piece of information ever broadcast in the marketing world. We wouldn't use chocolate below kind of 31 degrees, 31 and a half. I shell everything at 32, and it works, and I can prove it. And I play with cocoa butter most days, and have taught thousands. So I think I know what I'm talking about when I say that we would temper the cocoa butter and paint it and leave it to dry and crystallise. Then we would temper the chocolate and cast the shell and leave that to crystallise, and the both will shrink together. If you miss any of those elements along the way, it's always going to be human error, so it will be tempering or it'll be temperature. So, what did I say out loud? Oh no, did I sentence enhance it accidentally? I don't know. What happens if we don't temper cocoa butters? Well, it ain't going to work. You're going to waste a load of chocolate. We're trying to do things in a measured format, right? We would temper the cocoa butter and paint, leave it to dry. We would temper the chocolate. Like, if you don't temper, the only thing we're tempering in chocolate is the cocoa butter. We can't temper cocoa mass, we can't temper sugar, we can't temper the milk solids. The only thing that we're tempering in chocolate is the cocoa butter. That's it. And if chocolate contains cocoa butter, there's an opportunity to temper it. If you're using candy melts or whatever they're called, like compound chocolate, there is no point tempering that. There is nothing to temper because they are just fats and fat sugars and then the cocoa mass, but no cocoa butter. Cocoa butter will always behave as expected. So. How long should the shine on the chocolates last? No idea. We've had them years and they're shiny. Don't know. Should we do an experiment? Should we keep hold of that one? Should we keep hold of that one? You see how shiny that was? We'll keep hold of that one. We'll have a look at that in a year, I think. We'll put it on the shelf. I think that'll still be shiny, as long as it doesn't get too humid or too hot. But that will remain shiny for ever, right? For as long as the chocolate is good. Donna's saying, one of the single origin chocolates I use has a really hard bite. Is there anything I can do to soften the bite? you can add some more cocoa mass to it. That would soften it down, but it would completely change that flavour. So we can harden chocolate up, but it's not easy to soften it down, right? We can make chocolate more fluid by adding cocoa butter, but we can't take any of it out. I mean, I dare say you could add an additional fat to it, but again, a fat's at room temperature is solid, so its cocoa mass is only going to be your friend there of blending cocoa mass back into that chocolate. I mean, if it's got too hard a bite, maybe that's not the chocolate you want to use for bars. Probably good, very good for shelling. It's probably very, very brittle. You can probably do very, very thin shells. But if you're going to do tablets, maybe not thin. It's probably like it's probably very fluid chocolate with a really high cocoa butter content too as well. I suspect so. About spilling and filming it, yeah. I found some Valentine's chocolates from last year and they're so shiny. If you follow the process, it will work. Everything we need, everything we think we know about chocolate, we already know. Everything we need to know about cocoa butter, we already know. It will behave absolutely as expected and predicted. When you're tempering, you are telling that to do something, and it will do as it's told. If you don't do that, it will go off and do its own thing unpredictably. So it's not like it's physically listening, but we're instructing chocolate. When we temper it, we're instructing it to form certain crystals. Therefore, it will behave in a certain way, right? Can I add cocoa butter to my white chocolate to make it more fluid? Yeah, you can. Generally about between 6 and 7% will change the fluidity from a 3-drop to a 4-drop. And 4 drops lovely. So chocolate will lose its shine because of humidity. Humidity is the culprit. If it's too humid, too much moisture in the air, that's what will lose the shine on chocolate every single time. So how do home chocolatiers work during summertime? Air conditioning, without a doubt, right? Close your room off, air conditioning, chillax a bit in a colder room. I need to go because it's that time. I've got Ribena to drink yet. Just a few questions there. We are back to normal. I'll be back to work tomorrow. We'll get there's a lot of orders, so I'll be getting those done and lots of orders to top out because we've got the colours. I probably just need to relabel or put them back in stock, right? What's in here isn't all the stock, not by a long way. I bring it in, or we make it somewhere else, but I bring it into here to do all the orders and do all the teaching, do all those little bits and pieces. So I'll be back to normal. I think all I can smell is the oud, and it's lovely. It's really nice, really distracting. So thank you for your patience while I was away. I know people have got orders. Some people have messaged me saying, "Where's my order?" It's like we took a last-minute break, so we kind of needed to. Bit of work, bit of pleasure. It was actually Sarah's birthday as well, and we decided last minute we need to go and see this company, but then also let's go away with our little one and go and see Rome because I've never been there. So I'll see you in a few days because it's going to be Chocy Chat like that, isn't it? So this is episode 171. It's got nothing to do with titanium. Next week's episode 172, which has got nothing to do with calcium carbonate. So been waiting ages to say, been waiting 170 weeks to say that. Everybody have a lovely week. Keep pushing. Easter sales. Keep tagging. Hashtags. Find your customers. Do all those amazing things. You've got to find your customers. You've got to keep telling people all the amazing things that you're doing. I'll see you in less than a week. Everybody have an absolutely lovely one. I have to wait. Ronnie keeps telling me that we get to the end and I have to wait because it gets cut off. So I'm just gonna step away and I'll see all you in a week. Take care, Chocy Chat crew. I'm also gonna change a battery in that because it's just annoying. Bye bye.